who is on your running playlist?
Okay, so one of the best things about my running playlist is how diverse. So I often run to Hamilton. And I know. And then I like some throwback early 2000s, late 90s, like Ja Rule, which my husband says isn't really hip hop. Some Nelly, little California Love. And then sometimes I have things like Mexico by James Taylor. So it's pretty varied. But my absolute number one favorite running song when I don't think I can get through the run is Girl from the Gutter. Look it up. It's an obscure little song, but it will get you going, and it'll keep you up for sure.
You are the target. You and your Southern Kentucky-ness are the target audience for half of those songs. Let me tell you. Welcome to another Believe Vacations video. I'm Brian Pavlick, and oh my goodness, what a treat you have looking at the lady who is going to be talking with me today. A wonderful, not just friend, agent, everything in between, sister you want to call her. It's just somebody you need in your life, Ashley Oldham. Ashley, good morning.
Good morning.
It's been a while since we have seen each other in person. And that will change hopefully quickly, because I know we've got some trips coming up where we will be seeing each other later in the year.
Absolutely.
But today, Ashley is going to talk about a topic that I hate, I despise, and they have gotten me into this. They have suckered me into the world of RunDisney. I have not run yet, but I think it's coming because of people like Ashley. So not only is she a top agent of ours and it's just an all-around awesome person, she has done some of the events. So if you're interested in running, I don't know why, at Disney, Ashley's going to help us here today and talk a little bit about the RunDisney experience, the events, and all the things leading up. But before we jump into all that, I need you to get to know this lady. You are going to love hearing from her and hearing her experience. So Ashley, I'm going to give it to you for a few seconds. Tell us who you are, where you are, and just kind of your Disney quick history with us at Believe.
Okay, awesome. So much of how I came to Believe is because of RunDisney. So like Brian said, I'm Ashley Oldham. I am an agent. I live in Lexington, Kentucky with my 5-year-old twins and my husband. And I came to Believe Vacations because during a RunDisney event, I was on the bus with Tiffany Bigelow, and I had a different lanyard for my glass slipper challenge medal than all the other lanyards she had seen that day. And she was like, hey, wait a minute. Why is your glass slipper challenge a different color? And I was like, it's because I'm a perfect. And so we had that whole conversation. So I know I don't want to give any spoilers away yet, but we'll talk more about what that means in a little bit. But she saw my love of Disney and love of running. And it's funny, I had been like in this RunDisney world for a long time and had never really thought about being a travel agent. And so I was super excited that we kind of bonded over that, and also the RunDisney bug, and here I am, and I'm so thankful.
And she also, in her real world, she works with kids, so she is perfect to talk to when it comes to families and planning. So this is a wonderful agent if you're from Kentucky, or if you're from just that part of the world, or if you just see this and you've seen her information that I've run across the screen, contact her. I mean, you'll have wonderful conversations. I look forward to all of ours, and here we are. So we're having a good one. So we're going to talk RunDisney. We're going to talk the experience. We've got to give you some build up though, as far as how do you get started and all that, because you can't just go right to RunDisney. You could, but it's going to be difficult. So let's find out, Ashley, when you first started. Let's talk about the early days of you just running in general. Did you do distance running when you were younger, or when did running really become a habit routine of yours?
Okay. So like some other agents, I actually grew up dancing, very seriously, danced in college, danced competitively from age 6 on, really. Right. And then, so I've always been active. My dad was a ranked distance runner for a long time. There you go. And so on the weekends when we didn't have dance competitions, I would go, my mom and my dad and myself, I was little, we would go to races. And then after my brother was an infant, he came along too. And I ran some of those early kids races at my dad's big races, so to speak. So he kind of got into biathlons, triathlons, and that was fun. And when I got in middle school, high school, I did some cross country and track really recreationally. I really didn't have time to focus on it because I was so focused on dance.
Yeah.
And that took so much of my time. And so during college, I would run a little bit here and there just to kind of stay in shape. But it was really when I started teaching, like Brian said, I have another job too. I'm a school counselor now. But at the time I was teaching dance and drama in a public school in Kentucky. And after school is kind of just a stress reliever, way to kind of get my body moving some more in a different way. I started running. I just started running every day. I like to think it's a little bit of my dad's genes that come out when I run. I really like distance running. I prefer that over sprints. And so that's kind of how I got into running in general.
Right. And did you do kind of these longer distance runs, marathons, half marathons? We'll talk about that in a second. Did you do any prior to your Run Disney experiences, or did you just jump right into the Run Disney experience with it?
Yeah, so I had done several 5Ks, 10Ks kind of locally. Those are fun, and what I love about the running world is it's very approachable. I know that at times it can seem intimidating, but you see all ages, all body types, all demographics at a race. You see people walking the distance, you see people running the distance, and some people sprint the distance. So not I. But I just kind of liked that world. So 5Ks, 10Ks, I had a lot of those under my belt. And really my first half marathon was the 5th year anniversary of the Princess Half. And at the time, just a half marathon.
So we're doing half marathons. We're now talking about your actual Run Disney experience. Do you remember what year it was when that, I'm not going to put you on the spot if you don't, we can all look it up, 5-year, half, all that. Point is, she's been doing it a while.
Yeah, I want to say it was like maybe 2014 was the 5th
so yeah,
Princess weekend. And it was fun for not only that to be my first half marathon, but for it to be an anniversary year. If you know anything
awesome. About
anniversaries. And so that kind of made it even a little bit more special.
Did you run by yourself? Did you run with friends? Kind of what was the process of getting down there and
yeah. So my first half marathon at Disney, like I said, Princess Weekend, and Princess Weekend's in February. And I had my cheer squad with me. And at the time, that cheer squad was my mama, my brother, and my husband.
Yeah.
And the 4 of us went down. I ran by myself. We stayed at the Grand Floridian.
Yeah.
Got to be bougie for your first Run Disney experience, first half marathon experience. And I'll tell you what, I almost missed the race because this is so crazy. This is a crazy story. So because it was my first race, I didn't realize, and I didn't have anybody to talk to. I didn't have an agent. I booked on my own. I didn't have anybody who had really done those Run Disney events in my life at the time. And the boards weren't big then like they are now. I just really didn't know what I didn't know. Right. And so when I saw that the race started at 5:30, I was like, oh, I'll get there at 5. And then at the time, because I had never submitted a time, I didn't really know to do that. It wasn't as big a deal as it is now. I was in one of the later corrals. And so I knew I wasn't starting. They used to post those corral start times. I wasn't starting until about 6:15. So I kind of got on the bus at 5:30 and or on the monorail at 5:30. And then these people were like, you better make it. They're going to close the corral. They're going to close the corral. So I thought, oh my goodness, my whole family's here. I'm not even going to get to start this race. I'm like crying and running
before the run.
Yes. I ran like 15 miles that day instead of 13.1. I'm like running to the corral, and it was fine. I made it in plenty of time, but Disney's really specific about their corral, like closing their corrals and their system in place. And I just didn't do that. So it was kind of scary at the beginning.
Gracious. All right. So you mentioned it, and we got to transition into it quickly. Obviously, there's a lot of work and sign up and registration that goes into it. And you even mentioned how you can use an agent. Just briefly, for what is the sign up process, and how does an agent like you help with that?
Okay. So after that scary incident, the next year started Glass Slipper Challenge, which we'll talk about. And I did book that one on my own. The year following that, so Glass Slipper Challenge year, anytime Disney releases something new, there's sellouts in like 20 minutes, 15 minutes. So after that, I started using an agent because why not? Yeah. And the great thing about an agent and RunDisney is they usually can sign you up before general registration.
There it is.
So there it is. And you have to have a package to sign up with an agent, but why would you not stay on property and do all the things?
Yeah, no sense in taking Ubers and getting to just stay on property. So there you go. You have to have some type of package, that you said, book through Ashley, run with Ashley, yeah, whatever you want to, and go from there. Well, okay, cool. So is there anything special or cool about check-in, or is it just normal, almost like a traditional race check-in? Or because it's Disney, do they do some extra little magic?
It is special. Now, if you're used to big races, let's say the closest thing to kind of a RunDisney Expo experience, and that's what typical races call packet pickup.
Right.
The closest thing to that is like if you've done a rock and roll marathon or half marathon, or we live close to Cincinnati, Ohio. The Flying Pig is a huge kind of like nation, race or whatever. And there's expos at some races, but Disney blows it out of the water. You get to meet Jeff Galloway. If you follow his training plans, you pick up your race merch. That there's even a line. I wish I could fast pass that sometimes. They do sell champagne, so you can't have champagne while you're picking up your race merch. With just tons of options for things like ears and sweaty bands and shirts and hoodies and tanks. But then also you're picking up your bib, you're picking up your safety pins, and there are tons of vendors. I mean, just tons of vendors. So it's really like an event within itself. It's like going to the park. We spend a whole, several hours there. It's so much fun.
That's cool. So the day of the race, you've mentioned one day of the race, which was not the best. You keep talking about like the Glass Slipper Challenge and all these things. Tell us what an experience like that is, just kind of getting ready for it. And I guess a little bit about the experience itself.
Yeah. So other than the stress of like making sure you're signed up, which that an agent takes care of that for you. Right. The great thing about Disney is they do have training plans. I mentioned Jeff Galloway. So the prep for a race starts way before.
Yes.
So you're 20 weeks or more out for a training plan. So there's that preparation. And then also the packing of all the things. And depending on what race you're running or races, because there are multiple options for races.
Yes.
I personally run in costume because I think that life's better in costume. They're run costumes, but they're costumes. There's that preparation of getting your costumes together, getting your fuel the way that you want to fuel. You never want to do anything new on race day.
Right.
And then actual race day itself, your alarm goes off between 2:30 a.m. and 3 a.m. You're on transportation around 3:30, 3:45. That's what time I like to be on transportation. Some people are on transportation at like 3. I have plenty of time getting on transportation by 3:35.
You do now.
Then you're there. There's a DJ. I mean, there's a lot of hype before a Disney race. And there is a lot of walking. So you get off on the buses, you're in Epcot parking lot, and it's like a party at 3 a.m. So, and then you have to walk to the corrals, whether you're doing the 5K or 10K, that's a little bit of a shorter walk. And then half marathon and marathon, a little bit of a longer walk to get to those corrals. And there's a whole fanfare for each corral as it takes off. So it's really the build up to the race is really exciting.
Well, you've started me in Epcot. Now let's have fun, because everybody always wants to know, when you run these courses, where are you going? It's not necessarily the track at the local high school.
Right.
What are you passing? What are you seeing on this run? Are you just basically running through Disney parks, or is there some extra magic that we don't even know about? Tell us about the courses. And I know they're different because of different mileage, but what are just some of the highlights that you probably are going to see if you do one of these races?
Yeah. So I've done Dopey and Glass Slipper Challenge. So there's been some changes with certain races, but to give you a rundown, 5Ks are through Epcot. I mean, like a lot of World Showcase. So that's really fun. You've got music, you've got cast members, there's characters along the way. But my favorite course in all of Disney is the 10K course.
Okay.
Not go through Epcot, but you run the boardwalk. And there is just something about the sun coming up and running on the boardwalk and then coming back through Epcot. I mean, it's amazing.
That's cool.
The half marathon for Princess Weekend, you run through the castle. And in my, 7-8 years of running that race, I've seen someone get engaged 6 times during the race. And one of our fellow agents has an engagement with the race. But so like every time I run through the castle, I'm like, oh, am I going to see an engagement this year? So that's really fun. And when else can you run through a castle with 23,000 of your closest friends, So that course is through Magic Kingdom, through Epcot. And then the magical thing about the marathon, which I know it's a beast, is you really are through all 4 parks. You really are in Animal Kingdom. You really are in Hollywood Studios. You really are in Magic Kingdom. And you really are in Epcot. I mean, so it really is cool. And through the half marathon and the full marathon, you do see some kind of backstagey type stuff.
Sure. Yeah, but if you're gonna run, you might as well do it at Disney with all the sights and all the things. Okay, maybe I should do this. I don't know. Maybe I'll keep going this month. Maybe. But I also know that in February it's gonna be cold with you guys. So let's pump the brakes a little bit on that for me, Ashley. All right. So you've done all these cool things. You've run many times. What do you get for competing? But what is your keepsake, besides of course the acknowledgement of your posse cheering you on? What do you go home with?
So besides cheer squad, accolade, and maybe some tight hammies, the other thing that you get for running a Disney race, you get a shirt for each race. You get a medal for each race. Now they have a virtual goodie bag.
Yes.
You get your bib, but the medal and the shirt, I mean, we do it for the bling, right? We do it for the bling. So then, like I said, anniversary years are really important at Disney. So the year that we did Dopey, it was the 25th anniversary year of the marathon.
Oh, wow.
And I got ears.
Okay.
They gave all the marathon participants ears. So that was really cool. That was a very cool Disney touch.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Let me go real quick before we kind of go into our final stretch here about, what do we do now with this information we've learned? You said dressing up. I know that's a big thing at Run Disney. So when you say dressing up, you've become a character?
So the great thing about Disney, I mean, of course you don't have to, but like I said, life's more fun in costume.
Yes.
is that like one year, for example, I was Belle and like blue dress Belle.
Sure. Blue dress belt. It's very important, not yellow nightgown, dancing with the beach belt.
Yes. So like my running buddy who I did my first glass slipper challenge with, did Avengers inaugural race in California with, so we got our coast to coast medal. She makes all my costumes. Now, personally, because I am a real runner, I don't run in polyester Disney store costumes, wigs. There are people that do that, and more power to them. I'm too hot. Florida's too humid for all that for me. So like, for example, for Belle, I had a blue tank and blue skirt, and I tied a little apron on. My husband, we took a vintage book. Sorry to book lovers out there. I love books as well, but we ripped everything out of it and used the cover, and I put my phone in there so I could run with my book. Had a blue bow in my hair. So I have tons of costumes. The year, I have to share this because this was really special.
Great.
My most memorable race in terms of I felt really accomplished after, obviously Dopey 2018 when we finished Dopey, that was unbelievable. But the other race that is like near and dear to my heart is, I mentioned I have twins. Their birthday is in December. So if you do the math, I was 10 weeks postpartum C-section with twins. And I did the glass slipper challenge. So I did not lose my legacy perfect status. So I was Cruella de Vil for the 10K, and I dressed my babies, my 10-week-old twins, up as puppies and have pictures as Cruella de Vil, them as my puppies. So that when I crossed that finish line, so the 10K, I was Cruella de Vil. The half, I was Snow White. Again, a blue tank, a red bow. I had little elastic with the sleeves, a yellow skirt, a red bow in my hair. And my kids for that one, my 10-week-old little babies I dressed them up as dwarfs. They were sleeping actual. But man, I cried when I finished that, like that felt, that really felt like something. Every mile is magic at Disney, but that felt like an accomplishment. That really was a cool time.
Folks, this woman has the best stories. If you don't believe me, go back and read her love story from earlier in February. It's one of the greatest stories that I know of. And the one she just told you, it's a storyteller. That's why she's near to my heart. I can listen to her tell stories all day because we can just entertain and stuff. And Ashley, I do have one final question. It's just going to be the big question to help everybody get started. And of course, as I'm running information for Ashley, I can't even talk because you got me so excited about running now. Get in touch with her. Obviously, you can see the passion she has for running, but she's just as passionate about booking these trips for your families and getting you down to whether it is the Magic Kingdom, Hollywood Studios, Universal, Islands of Adventure. Ashley's been to these places now, and she enjoys them, and she's got a great experience with them. And of course, for RunDisney, if you need some advice, obviously we're hearing from the expert here. So, Mrs. Expert Lady, final question I have for you. Here I was a novice back in January when I met you guys. I kind of heard a little bit from you, Tiffany, and kind of this run group, how to get started and just go a little bit each day. If I'm wanting to do this, if you have now convinced me, Brian, in February of 2022, if they return to the normal races, we all know what's going on. Yes, if they return to normal in February 2022, what does Brian or somebody like me do in the spring of 2021? How do I start mentally, physically preparing for this? What is your advice right now?
Okay, perfect. So I think a lot of times when people jump into running, they go too hard, too fast. We're Americans. It's what we like to do. So I would tell you, my personal schedule now, which I think is great for longevity, 2 days a week, do a short run, 30 to 45 minutes, short run. And then on the weekends, one day of the weekend, make it your long run. Now, don't go from 0 to 100. Don't say, oh, Ash told me I needed a long run. I'm running 13 this weekend. No, start it at 5, build it up to 6, build it up to 7, build it up to 8, jump back down to 7, go 8, 9, 10, jump it back down to 8. So that is, I would strongly encourage, you know, a lot of times people think if you're a runner, you have to run every day. And that's not true. I personally cross train. I weight train 3 days a week. I run 3 days a week. And then I take Sunday as my Sabbath. So that's how I do that. But yeah. And I'm sure that some people will ask questions about legacy status. Yeah. That's a big deal with Disney. So I'm a perfect glass slipper for the challenge. What that means, now it's called the Fairy Tale Challenge. What that means is when the glass slipper challenge started, I did it that inaugural year, and I've done it every year since. And so there's only about 150 of us left. And we were all kind of nervous when Disney changed the name from Glass Slipper to Fairy Tale, because we thought, oh no, they're not going to honor us as legacies, even though it was the same weekend. But they did. So our bib is a different color and it says perfect on it. They ring a little bell when we pick up our bibs, our lanyard, they give us an extra lanyard. It's very, very cool. And for Dopey, when we did Dopey weekend, we saw some perfect Dopies. And I mean, that is really cool. So if you do want to jump in that perfect train, that legacy train, when Disney, because I have confidence in this, when Disney releases their next race series, jump on it and stay with it. And then you also could be perfect for whatever race weekend that is.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Oh, she's the best. She's our boo. We all love her. We love when she has advice for us, when she tells us what to do and how to do it. I mean, this is why she's the expert, y'all. You've heard from the best. Ashley, I have enjoyed listening to you. I've enjoyed getting advice on a topic that obviously I begrudgingly put away for a long time. But you've inspired me. You always do, just in this case with running. So let's try it. Let's get out there, people. If anything else, you're getting fit, you're getting healthy and all that. And if you do decide, hey, why not add a little bit of a race event into a vacation?
Yes.
You'll still have fun. You'll still have magic. It'll be good. So Ashley, cannot thank you enough for what you've done for our team, for your agents. As I always say about our agents, the magic does not happen the moment you are running through the castle. The moment of magic first happens when you first contact somebody like Ashley, because they are just awesome agents. They're awesome people to deal with, great friends, wonderful people, and you will not be disappointed. So be a believer, contact Ashley, ask me any questions you might have. We will see each other at least in October. Yes. We'll see if we can see each other sooner. But if not, everybody else, we will see you real soon.